Good morning, everybody.
Morning or afternoon.
Acnologiac, uppercase AI, League. I think I haven't seen you guys here before. Maybe you were here last week. So, let's get to it. This week in review about Ultra Engine. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave it on this slide for a little bit because I want YouTube to pick this up to make it the first thumbnail. But we'll talk about last week's progress, development progress, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff coming up in 0.9.6, which is almost here. It could be here in a couple of days. And then a couple of other details and things that are interesting from around the forum. So let's get to it. So last week, I made a lot of improvements to the GLTF loader and to the animation system. One really nice thing that came up is the load animation tool can now select multiple files. So when you have a model open and you go to load animation here, you can select more than one file, and it'll just load that way. If you have a whole bunch of files, you can just load all those animations from all those files in at once. Small little detail, but it saves, like, when you're in that situation, when you have that can save you a ton of time. Some improvements to the project manager. There was some problems with the way it was working, and then I also made some small, just little things you probably won't even notice. But there was some little alignment issues. The sync view, where it shows the differences between the outdated files, it's a lot faster now. So just some small little improvements there. The Nature Starter Kit DLC has been submitted to Valve for review. It's not using AI, so I don't think it'll take 2 weeks to review. And that's kind of the final thing that I'm waiting for to release 0.9.6. So I did that in advance so that I could finish up some of the code while I'm waiting for Valve to give the final okay for that. And then one issue that was ongoing since like the beginning of the month was compatibility with the AMD. Some of the older AMD cards, 300, 400, 500 series, I think they're all using the same driver because I bought a 580 yesterday and that seemed to fix the problem across the board. So getting that done was very nice. So the last major update was 0.9.5, and that came on April 15th, 2024. And that was just 2 weeks or 2 months and... Okay, so 2.5 months ago. That's not very long. And 0.9.6 is coming right at the beginning of July 2024. It might be here in a couple of days. The major features there are the foliage system is the big one. This is the updated version of what Leadworks had, but it's more and better. Imposters, which goes along with that a lot of the times, but it doesn't have to. We're now using a native 3D model format that supports LODs and colliders built into a single file. We have an asset library interface for installing DLCs and also for remote content. AmbientCG.com is the one web API we have integrated right now, but this will work in the future with other web APIs such as Polyhaven and Sketchfab, and I've done some work on both of those, and I expect those to be added as well. And 0.9.6 is actually available right now if you opt into the beta branch. So if you have Ultra Engine, if you basically right-click on it on Steam and you can bring up the properties for the application. And then if you click on the betas, the tab here on the left, and then up here there is an option to opt into the very latest update for testing. And what we do is we have these stable releases like 094, 095, 096, eventually getting to 1.0, and those don't change. And then the beta channel here, this has updates almost every day. So if you do want to try out 096, you can get it right now, and it's very, very nearly finished. And if you have the standalone version of Ultra, this is what the interface, the installer looks like, and you just select the dev channel. That's the same thing as the beta branch on Steam. So, like I said a couple months ago, I said we need to get this OpenGL 4.6 rendering backend up, because once we do, that's going to allow much faster development, and that's what we're seeing now. So those are the major features in 096. But what I actually want to focus on this weekend is all the other stuff that just happened on a day-to-day basis. 096 includes more than 100 bug fixes. We're now using our own 3D file format, which supports LODs and colliders. We've added an HDR to PBR cube map converter. So if you have an HDR file, like a panorama, you can convert that into a PBR environment, the specular and diffuse environment maps. It's up here. It's a scripted extension, so you just go up here, and this allows you to select an HDR file. Oops.
You're also missing the asset library in that list.
Oh, there's 2 pages.
Okay.
We also have basically the same thing, a cube map, IBL sampler. If you already have a cube map, then you can just convert that into the specular and diffuse IBL reflection maps for PBR rendering. Shaders are now using correct sRGB to linear to sRGB transformation. The environment probes GI calculation has been revised, and it looks a lot better now. It's much more accurate. The translation tool in the 3D viewport, you guys wanted it, and now it's using just well, that's not right. This update just went out last night, and I haven't tested it on my laptop yet. But it uses a more conventional translation gizmo. Let's see. The flow graph editor initializes faster. The project manager sync view is faster. Oh yeah, we have a lot of new features here to help with animation. Extract sequence. I have to have a sequence actually selected for that to work. But extract sequence. You can extract a partial sequence and then turn it into a new animation sequence that gets added to the model. Or you can just use that to trim a single sequence. You can remove an animation sequence and reset bind pose. This is an important feature that I had to do to get one person's model to work, because the inverse bind matrices were just totally messed up, and I finally just was able to yeah, that's just something, if you need it, you really need it. The drawing guidelines in 2D. Let me draw a box here. It's now using dashed lines again, which is nice. Small detail, but I like it. The search in the asset browser, the behavior has changed. So now it just it acts, before it acted like a global search, and now it acts like a filter. Which is actually LEDWorks worked the same way, And this is just a lot more convenient. And you have these predefined common file formats that you can also select from if you just want to look at like the models in a folder or something. That's very convenient. Let's see. We added the editable combo box style. The terrain creation interface has been, the whole workflow for that has been revised. I added backface lighting, which is good for very good for foliage, and that means the light, if you have a double-sided object and the light is coming from behind the object, the light will like shine through the object, and but if the light's on the other side, it'll also shine on that side, so it'll just pick whichever side it is facing. The model editor will now show the default binding pose instead of just in addition to the animations. So you have the animation views, and then you can also just select the bind pose, which is the original orientation of the model, which is nice. And I really actually needed that when I was debugging the GLTF loader. We have the reset transform tool in the model editor. We can generate imposters now in the model editor. We added a tool to load an LOD level into the model editor, and because our model file format now supports all these things, we can save after we do that, we can save the model, and it all just gets packed into a single file, which is nice. Yeah, toolbar buttons. These toolbar buttons up here, these are new, and this is very convenient. I like having those. The world settings now have load and save buttons here, so if you find if you create like an environment that you like, some settings that you like, and you want to use it in another map, then it's very easy to just save this to a JSON file and load it back in. And also we have the group filters here, which you guys asked for, and you got. So yeah, in addition to the major headlining features, there was a lot of other just small little enhancements here and there that people asked for to make your life better. And that was actually, like, now that I'm looking at it, that was actually quite a lot of work that went into it. It was quite a lot of progress for just 2.5 months. That was very like rapid development. So 0.9.6 is going to be a nice, stable, solid release that will last for a couple of months, maybe. Until 0.9.7. 0.9.7 might be the last update before 1.0. But that's going to be out. It's available right now on the beta branch, but it's going to be officially released sometime very soon. And at the same time, we have the Steam summer sale going on right now. There's a 20% discount for Ultra Engine and Ultra Engine Pro on Steam, which you can get right now. And you can also use the coupon code SUMMER2024. Thank you for the applause. All caps in our store at ultraengine.com. And if you want, you can actually order a Steam key through our store, and then I'll send that to you, and you enter it into Steam, and at that point you just have it on your Steam account like normal. Yeah, so this is going on until July 11th. At 10 a.m. Pacific time, the Steam Summer Sale. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to just point out from the forum. Let's see. SpiderPig released his Blender exporter for our own native model file format. And you can get that in the download section here. The download section is kind of, I don't have any links to it on the main on the main page other than right here. But if you go to ultraengine.com/community/files, that is where you can find it. And the reason it's not really being promoted very heavily right now is because we're just kind of trying it out and figuring out how we want to use this. So that's why there's not a lot of stuff in there right now, and we're just kind of figuring out, like, getting an idea of how we want this to work. Now, I think in the future it will be possible to access all of this content through this interface here, because we do have a web API for it, so it should work just fine. But I kind of want to, like, hold off on it and just kind of use it before we really, like, roll it out as an official feature. But if you do want to get his Blender exporter, he has a Blender exporter, and he also has a Collider exporter. Which could also be useful for you. And a couple of other things. Reap, do you have anything to show with the view models for our project?
Yeah. I got something to show you, actually.
Okay, and before you do, I want to give Andy a heads up. If you want to talk about, you released some pretty impressive multiplayer stuff last week. You can talk about that if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I can say a few words, but it's not that much yet. So basically, it's possible to connect to a server together and move around.
Okay, let's let Reap do his thing first, and then after that, I'm very interested to hear about the details of what you did.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's switch over to.
I'll share. That's the screen. All right, so. I shared the wrong screen. Hold on, I gotta change my screens. Change windows. Do this all the time, I'm sorry. Alright. So, the hardest part of a first-person shooter is really the view model. And I'm very, very, very stubborn on, like, how it looks, how it animates, how it... I don't like it in the center, it's, like, down. I like it, like, bottom right corner. And it's gotta be taking, like, a good portion of it. So that's what it looks like in game. It's default animation. It's like this weird.
We can't see the game. We can only see the editor.
Oh no! All right, give me a second.
I think you shared the window, not the screen.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. That's why. All right, so let's try it again. So this is what it looks like in game. So it has a base idle animation of this breathing animation. If you walk, it flops around. That's an animation. And then you can shoot.
Whoa.
You can reload. And his fingers are a little bit screwed up. The model needs a little bit of work. But the basis of this is in. And getting animations to code was kind of tricky because... One, like, I was a little confused of, like, what animation stop and play did, and I know what loop did, it just looped it over and over. So I actually had to make a class to help me manage my animations. So this is reusable, so I want to make this reusable as possible. So if you have, like a animation, like a monster, let's say, and he's, like, breathing or whatever, and then you want him to attack, and then go back to his idle animation or his default animation. So that's what this class does, and it's self-contained. So in my players, I think it's the weapon scripts right here. So we create when we load. I'm trying to find it for it. So yeah, when we load the animation, we just create the animation model. We put the view model, the actual model we're going to animate in here, and then we set the default animation to this idle animation. And this is a component in the editor. I'm sorry I'm going everywhere, but it's kind of like complex. So this is what the view model is. It's a prefab. So, but it's also a component. So, I'm going to find where it is. There it is. So this is the component. You can define your animations here. So this is the shooting. This is the reloading animation I want. This is the walking animation. This is how it fires. And this is the idle animation. And then we can put like, if it's like a single shot, like a pistol, or if it's automatic, a rifle, or if it's like maybe a shotgun or a spread.
Nice.
The idea will be like you just have this component and then you create a prefab. You adjust where you want the view model to be, because the origin of this model is actually like down here somewhere. So what I did is I made a pivot, and that is like the root node, and that's where the camera is. And then I just adjusted where I want that relative to this node, and then I parented it. And then this pivot right here is the muzzle. So that's where we're gonna put like the muzzle flashes and do the trace for the bullets. So
awesome.
And then this gets saved into the prefab, and then the code loads this prefab. There's no like, this is just a weapon. We probably want a holster for like multiple weapons. So instead of like having like so the holster component will manage all the weapons, and then the weapons are just the weapons. So if you just want like one weapon, it's not really the big deal, and then so the weapon loads, creates the animation manager, pulls the data from the component, and then we also have this add complete hook. So when the animation is done, it goes back to the reloading. It goes back to the idle animation, but you also want it to like tell it to be like, hey, I'm done like reloading or whatever. So the name of the animation gets passed to this hook function, and then you just check, oh, is it the reload animation? Okay, then I want to say stop reloading, and this bool gets true. It's a little messy right now, blending two looping animations, like the firing animation, and then you want to go back to idle. So I'm not really sure, like, this is, like, a great solution for managing that. But for simple animation, so let's say, like, a monster attacking or something, this is really good. But, like, firing rapidly, it's a little tricky. So I'm not 100% sure this is, like, an elegant solution, but
Did you use the animation hooks feature for this?
Yes, so that's how but there's an extra hook for the end user. So, so this is the animation hook done hook. So what it does is that it fires the hook for the class, and then it goes back to the resting animation, which is the breathing animation, which we defined here, which is our idle animation. If that makes sense. This is like, I'm trying to like, again, dealing with animations is kind of tricky because I was having difficulty just using the raw API, and then I was like seeing how everything like, it's like, oh, well, I need a hook to like go back to this animation. It's like, I don't want to think about that. I just want one class that just handles that for me, and just want to go, hey, this is an idle animation, and then play an animation, but when you're done with it, I want you to go back to default animation. I don't want you to hold the last frame. I don't want you to repeat. I just want you to go to what you were doing before. And this, I mean, anyone can go in and make this a little bit better. So when we do monsters or something, this is the actual class we can actually like reuse. So not this class, this class. So I wanted to make it very modular. So, but that was a really problem I was having with like animations. It's not really documented, and it's not really much examples at this point. So I kind of had to figure it out myself.
Well, it does what it needs to do, and you put this together in a pretty short time. So it looks very cool. Can we get another look in game?
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually I just want to watch from. Let me just want to see that. Run. Let's see. And also, right now, this is rendering on its own render layer. So we're using the render layer system. My Q maps keep breaking in this map. I don't know if that has something to do with the render layer system, but so what this means is that the view model field of view will not change if the user wants like a 90-degree field of view. Because a lot of games, you would increase the field of view, and then the view model would like distort. You'll see like parts of the view model you're not supposed to see.
Yeah, I can totally see that now that it's like in the game.
Yeah, so that's very important to me because again, like you spent all this time making sure that view model's in the perfect spot, and then the player goes, "Oh, I want a 120 field of view," and then all that work goes down the toilet.
What happens if you run right up to the wall?
Because it's small. It's small. It's in the player collider. So as long as the view model is small enough and fits in the collider, it won't have any shadows. So
good job.
And in the component, you can actually disable the. I'm just gonna reload it. So right here in the component, if you don't like this or it's causing issues, you can just untick this, and it will. This will get ignored, but if you untick this, it will just draw on the same layer. And right now, there's a bug with post-processing effects right now. Okay. So so if I'm just gonna uncheck it, save it, and reload it. Hopefully, it doesn't like break on me. I'm gonna try this. And this keeps. I don't know why this doesn't really save 100%. Might be a bug, I don't know. So now it's rendering on the same layer, and as you can see, the reflections are different because it's rendering on the same layer, but it still works and acts the same.
So this is using the same FOV?
Yeah, it's using the same render layer as the rest of the world.
Right. So what's what's your default field of view for the rest of the world?
So the player is set here, and the prefab it's still set to 54.
Oh, okay.
So if we were to edit this, and make it 90, the view model would distort, and then.
Can you try that?
This is locked.
This is a prefab. Oh, okay. Okay. Don't worry about it right now then.
Yeah. So, But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And I kind of want to make this very modular and put these decisions in the end user's hands. Like, oh, do I want the view? What do I want the FOV to be? Do I want to render in a different layer? Or do I want what animations are? What's my resting animation? What's my fire animation? What's my reload animation? I'm going to probably put like an other animation, just like, I don't know, because you might want different. It depends. Like, view mods are tricky because not every weapon is the same. Like, can that component also work for like a melee weapon? Let's say probably not, because this is gonna be projectile based, and the melee weapon is it kind of is projectile based. It still does a trace from the like muzzle, quote unquote, to the wall. So
I think it'll work.
Yeah. So, every weapon's kind of different. I mean, if you want to do like a bomb from like Counter-Strike or something, that's kind of going to be a little bit different. But you might have to like fit it in that box. Like the fire animation might be the deploy animation and all that. But overall, I think it should cover 90% of circumstances.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're like in the details of this, but what I'm really looking for here is, does it look like a game? And what you just showed looks like a game. It looks like a real game. It doesn't look like, yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, again, his fingers are broken. And also that swaying where the clip comes, you can see it in the bottom corner, but it's less noticeable because it's like.
Yeah, that's kind of a secondary or tertiary concern. Like, yeah. What's important is that it looks like something that people would want to play. Very cool. His fingers look very broken. Whoa.
Yeah. I can actually show you that.
The model I was looking at was not doing that.
Maybe I have an older, so they load. It's like, oops, these fingers distort like that. And then
Yeah, I think I have a copy of it that's not messed up.
All right. Well, if you can resend it, I just pulled what you gave me. So
Okay.
yeah. And if
Yeah, I'll take a
it's-
closer look at that.
Also, something weird I found. This has 106 frames, but in my code, I'm gonna upload this on GitHub so you can take a look at it. But in my animation manager, I actually had to subtract 10 frames from it because I got the total frames because I want the actual like, like, oh, when you're at the last frame, I want you to fire the end hook. But I actually had to subtract 10 frames to get that to work. I don't know if that's like a math error or...
Was it using one-shot animation?
In my... Yeah, the reload animation.
Okay. It might have just... Well...
I got a phone call, actually.
I don't know. So I'll have to look at it more carefully. Okay. All right, looks very nice progress. Looks very good. Let's see. Okay, Andy.
Yes.
You posted some stuff that was very cool. Can we get that? Let me see if I can find that video. I'll start with that.
You're not, streaming.
I will. I'll start it in a second. Okay. Screens, screen 1, go live. Okay, so Andy posted something that was very cool. I was wondering who was going to be the first person who did this with Ultra.
It's kind of a bit difficult to test it, but yeah. So yeah, it's basically in server which running standalone on a different computer, and yeah, as you can see, it's possible to run around, see each other, and at the moment it's possible to shoot to an enemy and he disappears, and the respawn is completely handled from the server. So yeah, it's completely server-sided that the enemy is respawning after a given amount of time.
Stop streaming. Okay.
Again, nothing big special, but yeah.
Can you get a little closer to your microphone, please?
Yes, I think my microphone is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's a small server which is running standalone on a different machine, and yeah, the enemy which is disappearing, if you shoot at him, it's also complete server managed. So yeah, the server is deciding when the enemy is dead, when he needs to despawn. If he can respawn, then he let him respawn after a given amount of time. And yeah,
so
it's basically the start of an server project I create, or for a game project we create, and the server is also available then on GitHub.
Okay, so what is the server written with?
It's Java.
Oh, okay.
It's running in Java because Java is a bit more, it's a bit better when it comes to thread safety. Java got, for example, the hash maps, which are complete thread safe from itself, so you don't need to care about the access times and all the stuff, because in addition to the client, which needs to be on a different thread, the server also needs to handle the connections on different threads. So yeah.
Okay, so this is Open Game Server on GitHub. This is now. I want to point out for the viewers that we do have support for Valve's Steam's peer-to-peer networking system. So they don't have to do things this way. But what you've done is actually quite advanced. You're using sockets, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're using
TCP/IP, so not UDP. Normally, it would maybe better to use UDP. But I think TCP/IP is it's not that much worse than UDP, and it's a bit more easy to create.
Okay, so
what do you do to like fetch the server? Because we had issues in the past with LibWorks with eNet where we couldn't get through the NAT punch through, whatever it was.
Just connect to the server with a socket.
What library though?
No library.
He's just using like Win32 sockets, I think.
Yes. The normal sockets which coming with the Windows.
Yeah, but then what about what's your solution for multiply if you plan to do multiply?
What do you mean? It's
well, in the future, let's say you want to do a Linux build or something.
Yes, and the client is not related to the server, so you anyway need to create the client script. It's I create one for Windows, but the game I create or we create is not planned for any Linux build. So it's only a game for Windows.
There's probably Linux equivalents to all of those commands.
I'm sure there is.
I'm curious, like, so your server, so when a message goes from one player to another player, does it get relayed through the server?
The client doesn't send messages direct to each other. The client sends every frame. They try to start an thread and send data to the server, and the server will wait a bit. So he got ticks. He got a tick rate. Like at the moment, it's 128 ticks. So the server waits until the next tick is there, and then he accepts all the message which are sent to the server and handles them, and sends then a response with all the data to back to the client. So yeah, the server is managing the communication with the clients.
Okay, so it's a relay server.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we decide to have not the peer-to-peer version because we want hosts multiple matchmaking servers on different machines. So it would be a bit tricky to make this with the Steam API.
Yeah, well that's very, very cool. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I think this is also the only I was searching for an open source project, for an open source game server, which actually you can customize to use it for yourself, but I doesn't found anything good. So yeah, I decided to make an own. I was doing some network stuff like 10 years ago in Java, so yeah, I got a bit of idea how to do it. And yeah.
Awesome. So what are your plans for the game and for your networking system?
The game itself, it will be an how should I say, a competitive first-person shooter, and the server will be standalone. So he's available for other games as well. I built the server on a modular way, so you can create own server behaviors. So how the server is reacting to different messages he can send, and then you can decide what data you want to send back or what you want to do. So it will be a standalone project, the server itself, for other projects.
That's very, very cool and very impressive, and I'm looking forward to playing it in the future as it develops. I can't wait to so it'll be very fun when we can all shoot at each other.
Yeah, well, the problem is what I tested with SpiderPig, and the problem will be the lands or the continents where we live at. So it was almost impossible to play with SpiderPig on the server because the latency. I think he got a ping with 500 ms or something. So yeah.
Yeah, that can happen.
Australia doesn't have good internet.
But
from what I've
when I
been
play
told.
with friends in Europe, I tested with a friend already, and it was smooth movement. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so that's all we've got going on this week. Are there any general questions?
I guess like what I was talking about. I'm sorry I had to like step away for a little bit, but what I was talking about like the animations, like, can we have more information and examples about animations, like, like at least explain what the difference between like animation stop and animation hold on, animation stop, and then there's animation once, and then there's animation I understand what animation loop does, but like I tried like swapping between like once and stop and got like same results, so I didn't know the difference between them. So if we can have more documentation explaining what they do.
Yeah, certainly. And by the way, like once, it just means that you're setting the frame, and then it's not really animating anything. It's just setting that frame.
Well, because I have my reloading animation set to once, and then I hit play, and then if I didn't have the hook, it would just keep looping. So
Okay.
to me,
Did I say once or did I say stop?
You said once.
Okay, I misspoke then. Like stop means that you're just setting the frame. Once means that it just plays once.
Well, I was not getting that.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna push my code. I'm just gonna do a quick git push what I have now, and you can pull it and look at it, and if there's anything that's not right or redundant, feel free to edit it. I wrote this last night, just so I would have something cool to show today, because my previous attempts in animation was like really bad, and I couldn't like, so I had to like rewrite the entire thing, compartmentalize the animation system. So
yeah. Okay, so let's see. Trash can useful. Trash can useful. You probably there's probably a message there. Filter load post effect. Okay, so trash can useful. We moved the location of the post processing effects from the shaders folder into this effects folder, and the reason we did that is because when you go up here to world settings, let's add a post processing effect.
We can't see anything. You're not streaming.
Okay. Let me. Thank you. Screens. Screen 1. Go live. Okay, so how it is now, when I press this little add button, it opens me up in this effects folder, and all I see are these post-processing effects files. Before we had it in the shaders folder, and although there are other files, but it filters them out. It only shows the FX files. But the problem is, as soon as you open that folder, all you see is a list of folders, and then the FX files down there. So that got pretty annoying. So I decided we would move them into their own folders so that when you open it up, this is what you see. So your project was created before that change, and it's missing those files. So what you need to do is open up the project manager, go to File, Project Manager, and then you'll see like a little orange triangle exclamation mark, like a warning sign here. And if you click on that, then it'll show you the files that are missing or outdated, and then you can update your project, and then you can get the files that you're missing, and that'll fix your problem.
I'm not. You see, when it comes to like effects, like I wasn't like. I don't know, probably because I'm so like used to seeing effects because it's a post processing like thing, and I'm like, I understand why you did it, but I'm not like so sure if it should be in the root game directory.
They're not in the root. They're in a subfolder called effects.
Yeah, I know, but because that folder is under the root game folder, like. But to me, I guess it's because I spent 10 years looking for post-processing effects under shaders. So,
Well, we have the post effects subfolder, and that's where the actual shader files are stored.
right, and then you were worried that if you just had an effects folder also in the shaders folder, it would get confused.
That would be weird.
Yeah, so I understand why he did it. It's just, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's kind of alien because it's not what I'm used to. Also, did you ever notice where the dimensions of the size of the brushes will actually go inside the box, the creation box?
I fixed it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's like when. No, I was just gonna say, I thought it was like you was experimenting with something or not, because it was still you can still see it. It's just like, oh,
it was just a mistake. The font height was not being considered. Uppercase AI asks, have you added the automatic resizing and format conversion for terrain textures? And the answer is no, because I did something even better. I went back to how the original design of it was that it wouldn't. Terrain textures no longer have to be the same size. They no longer have the same restrictions. They don't have to be the specific format. I did that with the idea that we would eventually want that for backwards compatibility with older graphics cards, but that don't support bindless textures. But I decided, you know what, let's not screw things up and make a worse experience because we're worried about some really old hardware that doesn't support bindless textures, because everything supports bindless textures just about, so I'm not really worried. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that we might want to support in the future that doesn't support that would be the Mac computers, and I'm not actually, now that I say that, I'm not even sure they might even support bindless textures. I think probably not, but let's not screw things up worrying about what might or might be in the future.
Or
let's
less
just
than 1% of the market.
Yeah, Linux has greatly overtaken Mac, and the fact that that they hate games and don't really care.
They're trying to play both sides. They're trying to be like, oh, you can play games, but everything's through an emulation layer.
Yeah.
Well, but Linux, you get your emulation games, but there's also native games for people that actually care, and so you get best of both worlds, because you could just have your native games, but if it's not native, you just use Proton. And
Uppercase AI says, as long as I can just use terrain textures like for Unity, it's fine. Actually, our terrain system is not like Unity, because how many material layers does Unity support? 16 maybe?
I have no clue.
Uppercase AI, he probably knows. He's typing. Let's see what he says. You gotta type faster, man. Come on.
Right on his phone.
300 words per minute. Come on, you can do it. Anyways, Ultra supports 256 material layers. And the thing is, at least last time I checked, the way Unity actually does terrain is they render the entire terrain, and then they render the next layer. They render the entire terrain again with blending enabled, like transparency, and then they render it again for the third layer. That's extremely inefficient because you get this extreme overdraw. It's a very, very expensive cost is added for each render layer. And with Ultra, you get 256 material layers, and the way it's designed, if you have 256 material layers, it'll run at the same speed as if you have 4 material layers. So it's extremely scalable, and you can have lots and lots of layers. I know that was a big thing from like Leadworks. I think people had, I think you had like 16 or 32 layers. I think it was 32 in Leadworks. And people just wanted to have no limits. So 256, I figure, is probably as much as anybody needs. But we could, if we wanted to increase the memory usage a little bit, we could go up in the future if we needed to. So yeah, that was, just getting rid of that restriction was with good. Oh, I don't mind comparing with Unity because we almost always come out on top on that. I mean, I expect they'll always have more features than us, which is fine. But we're always going to do the my goal is to do the core features much better than anybody else, and I think we're doing well with that. Yeah. Funny face. I don't know why he keeps calling me Oleg.
The other thing I really want to ask you is that I have my own widget I made a while back, and like you just gonna, and I sent it to you. So I was worried. And I'm asking if you actually like decide not to use it, and if not, I was thinking about just putting my widget, my transform widget, on the workshop.
Wait, which widget are you?
The transform widget that
I did use yours.
It looks thinner on your end. I can't tell because I have mine installed, but I think if I like launch the Steam version.
The gizmo. It's a gizmo.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The widgets for the interface.
Yeah, I did use yours. I'm pretty sure it's in there.
It just looks different on my end, so.
I might have made the the lines a little bit thinner. I might have modified it.
Maybe, because that was like your own criticism. It's like you didn't like how thick it is. I like it because it's kind of, well, is it? I don't know. It's like it's like me. I like things like more like wider for some reason. Like when we were playing with the field of view, I said everything looked too small. I think it's something with my perception or something, but...
What size is your computer monitor?
It is 1080p, 60 frames, and yeah, it's not, like, it's the standard, like...
So, like 27-inch?
Don't think it's... No, it's not 27. These are cheapo. I have to remeasure it. These are cheapo, like, Asus monitors, and I got it for $300 in 2018, and they're just my work monitors.
So like 23-inch.
Yeah, 21 to 23.
Maybe that's the whole reason why.
Yeah, well, I need dual monitors, and to replace my setup with nicer monitors, it would cost me an arm and a leg, and I can't. And I recently picked up Cyberpunk, and I could get like. I can put everything on max with DLSS upscaling and get like 90 frames a second because of my resolution.
Oh, yeah, that's one way to do it. Yeah, monitors have actually gotten. I think monitors have gotten a lot cheaper. I was actually looking at like my next monitor. I want it to be like 120 hertz at least, and then I want the HDR color. And get
from what I was told, the life hack is to buy a TV, and because gaming monitors are like they upsell that. But if you just buy like a TV, like a nice OLED TV, you will get a better deal.
You have to. Isn't the latency going to be?
I don't think so, because a lot of people said they just buy a TV for like their games, and then. You have to do your research, and I'm not gonna like tell you to do something and then you do something and you get mad at me. So, but that's what I've been hearing and what I've been considering. But I need dual monitors for my work. So,
I know that's what Gabe Newell does. He has like a 72-inch television on his desk.
Yeah, but he has some rare eye disease, so he needs everything to be large.
Hmm.
He's been doing that for decades.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Nope, I will push what I have now and you can take a look at it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so also I really appreciate the reviews on Steam, guys. Last time I checked, Ultra has like a 90 something % positive rating, and just getting enough reviews in there so that the rating even shows up, it really does make a big difference. So thank you very much. If you're watching this on YouTube, then feel free to press the like button and subscribe. Yes. Yeah, and help our channel. Smash that like button if you want to help our channel grow, man. I hate saying that, but it does.
Yeah,
It does make a
thumbs up.
difference. Yeah, I feel very.
You should start a membership too.
A membership? What does that mean?
It's like a subscriber. It's like another thing where like they make money.
Is it through YouTube?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's YouTube's answer to like Twitch
Patreon.
subscriptions. Well, Twitch subscriptions really.
E-begging.
Yeah, e-begging.
I think I'd rather have my dignity.
Yeah. Perfect.
The sound effect was the timing was perfect on that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you all for coming for another very cool session. Very cool stuff going on. 096 coming out soon. We got the Steam Summer Sale going on right now. And I will see you all on the forum. Have a good week.
Yep.
Have a good one.